The Galactic Union's chamber buzzed with holographic warnings, crimson alerts flashing above delegates from 1,000 species. Counselor Zen's tentacles slithered across the podium as she addressed the assembly. Class 13 Deathworlds are not theoretical, she hissed, her voice modulator trembling. They are abominations. Gravity that crushes, atmospheres that corrode, predators that hunt for sport. And yet, she paused, mandibles clicking. A survey probe has found one inhabited. Murmurs rippled through the chamber. Ambassador Krell, his crystalline body crackling with disdain, projected a star map, a single planet pulse red. Earth. Surface scans confirm hurricanes with 500 kilometers per hour winds, tectonic instability, and apex predators that cannibalize their own young. Class 13, a Thracian delegate, armored in biosteel, slammed a claw. Nuke it. Deathworlders are a galactic cancer. ZYN raised a tentacle. Patience. Our laws demand study before extermination. She gestured to a quivering scientist, Dr. Vraxis, whose feathery gills flushed anxiety green. Report. Vraxis projected Earth's data. A montage of tsunamis, wildfires, and a grizzly bear ripping apart a moose. Biomass here is aggressive. Trees release toxins to kill rivals. Even their microbes wage war. No species could evolve sentience here. It must be a fluke. Krell sneered. Then prove it. Send a team. If it's sterile, we glass it. The research vessel Eclipse breached Earth's atmosphere, its shield screaming under the strain of ionized storms. Inside, Commander LYR gripped her harness, her amphibian skin slick with panic sweat. Report. The pilot, a cyborg Veek, snarled. Gravity's 9.8 meters per square second. How do they even stand? And the air, 21% oxygen, one spark, and this rock explodes. Dr. Vraxis adjusted his exosuit's filters. Focus. Land in the least lethal zone. The ship settled in a tempered grassland. Vraxis hesitated at the airlock. Suit integrity? 97%, LYR snapped. But the CO2 levels are survivable. For us, they stepped onto soil. Tall grass swayed, deceptively serene. Vraxis scanned a wildflower. Pollen loaded with alkaloids. Defense mechanism. LYR kicked a rock, revealing writhing insects. Disgusting, a low growl echoed. The crew froze as a pack of wolves emerged, fangs bared. The Veek raised his plasma rifle. Predators. Primitive, but don't fire. Vraxis hissed. They're just animals. Back away. The wolves circled, then lunged. The Veek vaporized the alpha. The pack scattered. LYR glared. You said they weren't sentient. They're not. Instinct-driven. A roar drowned him out. A grizzly charged from the tree line. The crew sprinted for the ship, but LYR stumbled, her suit torn by thorns. The bear swiped, cracking her helmet. She screamed as Earth's air hit her gills, then stopped. I'm alive? Vraxis gaped. Your species can't process their oxygen. LYR inhaled deeply. It's sweet. Like nectar. The Veek cursed, dragging her inside. This planet's rewriting biology. We need to leave. Vraxis ignored him, staring at the horizon. Wait, those formations, symmetrical, angular, artificial. Through binoculars, he spotted ruins, crumbling skyscrapers veiled in ivy. A civilization did exist here, but the structure's primitive. No orbital tech, no energy signatures. The Veek snorted. They probably ate each other to extinction. As dusk fell, the crew huddled in the ship. Vraxis reviewed footage. The wolves, the bear, the ruins. Something's wrong. Predators this aggressive would overhunt. Why is the ecosystem intact? LYR pointed at a thermal scan. Movement, 2 kilometers east. The screen showed heat signatures bipedal clustered around a fire. Vraxis leaned closer. Life forms. Sapiens maybe, but their biosigns erratic. Heart rate spiking and dropping, like they're controlling it. The Veek powered up the engines. Doesn't matter. We'll recommend extermination, and a rock clanged against the hull. Then another. On the cameras, figures emerged from the shadows. Ragged pelts, spears tipped with obsidian. One hurled another stone, grinning with stained teeth. LYR recoiled. Savages. Vraxis zoomed in. The human's eyes glinted, reflecting the ship's lights. Not with fear, with curiosity. The storm hit at dawn, a wall of black clouds that devoured the horizon. Commander LYR's sensors screeched, wind speeds exceeding 300 kilometers per hour. It's not a weather system. It's a predator. The ship shuddered as debris pummeled the hull. The Veek wrestled the controls. Shields failing. We need shelter. Dr. Vraxis pointed to a jagged outcrop. There, caves. They abandoned the ship, exosuits straining against the gale. Rain sliced sideways, acidic enough to etch their visors. LYR's helmet display flashed. Oxygen mix compromised. Seek shelter immediately. Inside the cave, the crew huddled under bioluminescent moss. Vraxis scanned the walls. Fascinating. These striations. Evidence of repeated flooding. How does anything survive here? The Veek snorted. Nothing does. This planet's a meat grinder. A clatter echoed deeper in the cave. LYR aimed her sidearm. Movement. They crept inward. Helmet lamps revealing a skeletal figure slumped against stone. Not alien. Human. Its armor, crude iron plates, was rusted but intact. A sword lay nearby, the blade notched from combat. Vraxis crouched. Fractured ribs healed. This one survived years of trauma, only to die underground. Why? The pilot kicked a rotted chest plate. Primitive savages, probably hiding from their own kind. A low rumble shook the cave. Dust rained down as the storm outside crescendoed. LYR's comms crackled. The ship's gone, tossed into a ravine. Vraxis ignored her, prying a journal from the skeleton's grasp. Pages crumbled, but a sketch remained. Humans battling a serpentine beast in a storm. They fought these conditions. Deliberately, the Veek grabbed the journal. Superstition. They thought gods controlled the weather. No! Vraxis whispered. Look at the details, weather patterns, migration routes. This was a field guide. They studied the storms. Used them, a howl cut through the chaos. Not the wind. Something alive. The crew froze as shadows shifted at the cave entrance. A pack of wolves slunk in, formatted with rain, eyes glowing. Behind them, a silhouette, bipedal, cloaked in animal hide. The human stepped forward, lowering its hood. A woman, face scarred, gripping a spear tipped with volcanic glass. She barked a command, and the wolves retreated. LYR aimed her weapon. Don't move. The woman laughed unafraid. She spoke. Her words translated by Vraxis implant. You picked a bad day to visit. The Veek bristled. You understand us? Your tech's been squawking since you landed. She nodded at the skeleton. He was my ancestor. Died mapping the storm corridor. We don't hide from the wind. We ride it. A deafening crack split the air. The cave ceiling splintered and boulders crashed down. The human grabbed LYR's arm. Move. This place is a tomb now. They fled into the tempest. The woman led them through blinding rain, her wolves herding the group. Lightning lit a path up a cliffside, a narrow trail humans had carved into the rock. Climb, she shouted. The crew struggled, their suit servos groaning under Earth's gravity. The woman scaled the cliff barehanded, laughing as the Veek slipped. Need help, Star Child? At the summit, a stone hut stood, anchored by roots. Inside, a fire glowed. The crew collapsed, coughing. The human tossed them a water skin. Drink. It'll steady your nerves. Vraxis scanned the liquid. Fermented. Toxins. Keep the parasites out, she finished. Your body'll learn. Elwyar sipped and gagged. How do you live here? The woman stoked the fire. Same way you live in space. Adaptation. She peeled back her sleeve, revealing scars. Wolf bite, bear claw, viper strike. Each one taught me. The Veek eyed her spear. You kill them only if they're hungry. Mostly, we trade. She tossed a bone to the wolves. They get a meal. I get warnings. Vraxis leaned forward. Your ancestor died here. Why stay? Because storms follow paths. She unrolled a hide map etched with swirling patterns. This one's old, weak. By midnight, it'll starve. As if summoned, the winds began to wane. The crew stared at her, then the dying storm. Elwyar whispered, You predict them? The woman smirked. Predict? No. We negotiate. Storms need heat. We burn certain woods, divert them. Takes generations to learn. The Veek stood abruptly. We need to contact our union. Warn them. About what? The woman extinguished the fire. That your Deathworld has teachers? Go. Tell them. As dawn broke, the crew descended to their wrecked ship. The human watched from the cliff, wolves at her side. Vraxis paused. What's your name? She grinned. Call me Guide. Others will find you. Be polite. They're less patient than me. The Veek muttered. Why help us? Guide's smile faded. Because scared things get violent. And we've met violent visitors before. She vanished into the mist, leaving the aliens to ponder the bones scattered around their ship. Some animal, some disturbingly human-shaped. The Eclipse's wreckage hummed with mismatched energy as the crew jury-rigged comms using human tools. Copper wires, solar cells, and a fermented algae battery. Dr. Vraxis stared at the makeshift array. Their primitive tech interfaces with ours. How? Commander Elwyar scowled. They've had millennia to reverse-engineer crash-landed ships. We're not the first visitors. A shadow fell over them. 3 humans approached, their garb a fusion of animal pelts and shimmering alloy. The leader, a man with a cybernetic eye, tossed a mangled drone at their feet. Yours? Fell near our reactor. The Veek lunged for it. You've seen our reactor? Where? The man smirked. Follow, and don't touch the flowers. They hiked to a valley where the storm's fury died abruptly. Vraxis gasped. A geothermal plant pulsed beneath a volcano, its pipes grafted into lava flows. Humans in hybrid gear, leather and neural-linked exoskeletons, monitored holographic readouts. You harness eruptions. The cyborg human nodded. Stabilize the magma chambers. Lets us bleed pressure before quakes. He tapped his metal eye. Lost us to a lava splash. Small price for a decade of calm. Elwyar bristled. You have fusion tech. Why live like primitives? A woman emerged from a greenhouse, cradling a seedling. Primitive? She gestured to the fields, crops fed by ash, drones pollinating genetically tuned flora. We kept what worked. Your fusion would have made us lazy. The crew was led to a village where children played with holograms projected from carved stones. Elders debated around a fire pit, their arguments translated by implants. Risk sharing the reactor tech, one growled. They'll weaponize it, another warned. The cyborgs silenced them. They'll try. But remember the Krell. Vraxis stiffened. The Krell armada vanished centuries ago. The elders' gaze darkened. They came to glass Earth. We fed their reactors to our volcanoes. She tossed the Krell insignia into the fire. Cooperation or ash? Choose. The crew recoiled. Elwyar whispered. You wiped out a fleet with geology. With patience, the cyborg corrected. Deathworlds teach that. That night, the humans hosted a feast. Venomous fish served raw. Herbs that burned like plasma, wine brewed from radioactive berries. The Veek refused until Guide arrived, her wolves licking spilled wine. Eat or insult your hosts. Dr. Vraxis choked down a bite. His exosuit screamed alerts as neurotoxins flooded his system, then stopped. My implants adapted. Guide laughed. Your tech's learning. Finally, the elder addressed the crew. Tomorrow you'll leave. Tell your union. Earth isn't a threat. We're a lesson. LYR stood. And if they don't listen, the village lights dimmed. A hologram erupted. A star map with thousands of death worlds, each tagged with human runes. We've seeded them all, the elder said. Terraformed them the Earth way. Life finds a path. Even yours. The Veek's voice cracked. You're preparing for war. For you, the cyborg snapped. Your union's dying. You sterilize worlds, fear evolution. We cultivate it. He activated a probe feed. A Krell colony, now thriving under a human-tuned Dyson swarm. They adapted. Will you? At dawn, the crew boarded a salvage shuttle, its systems synced to Earth's reactors. As they launched, Vraxis watched the village shrink. Humans and wolves stood side by side, unflinching under the shuttle's exhaust. LYR opened a human gift, a seed encased in stasis. What's this? Dr. Vraxis read the note. Plant it where you fear to grow. The Veek stared at the star map, now dotted with human-modified death worlds. They're not guarding Earth. They're farming the galaxy. As the shuttle breached orbit, the comms chimed. A human voice, serene and final. Run home. Water the seed. Behind them, Earth storm swirled into a perfect spiral. A farewell and a warning. The Galactic Union's armada descended on Earth, a swarm of warships blotting out the sun. Counselor Zen's voice boomed across encrypted channels. Burn the death world to cinders. Leave no trace of these abominations. Plasma cannons charge, casting an eerie glow over the forest below. Dr. Vraxis stood aboard the Eclipse's salvage shuttle, clutching the human seed. This is madness. They're not monsters. The Veek silenced him, fists clenched. You've gone native, Vraxis. Stand down. But as the first barrage fired, Earth's atmosphere rippled. A lattice of light erupted, a shield woven from geothermal energy and solar winds. The plasma bolts dissipated harmlessly. A human transmission cut through the chaos. You're targeting the wrong planet. The star map from the village projected onto every view screen. Thousands of death worlds glowed, their orbits now studded with human satellites. Meet the Gardens, the elder's voice intoned. We've healed them. They'll heal you too, if you let them. Ambassador Krell's flagship trembled as a terraformed moon locked onto its engines. Impossible. Our scans showed these worlds dead. Dead to you, the human replied. A feed flickered to life. Krell's homeworld, its barren poles now lush with forest, its cities powered by stabilized black holes. You fled your own death world cycles. We ended them. The armada faltered. ZYN's tentacles quivered. Lies! You've hijacked our systems. No! Vraxis interjected, broadcasting openly. They've outgrown us. While we feared death worlds, they mastered entropy itself. Look at the data. Their primitive tech harmonizes ecosystems we couldn't comprehend. Silence gripped the fleet. The human elder appeared, her image mirrored across the galaxy. You came to erase us. Instead, we offer partnership. Tend the gardens. Learn from them. Or... A black hole generator materialized near Krell's ship, its accretion disk spinning gently. Persist in fear. We'll quarantine you this time. The Veek lunged for the shuttle's controls. We can still win. Rally the... Vraxis activated the seed stasis field. Vines erupted, binding the Veek's limbs. No, we've seen enough war. On Earth, Guide watched the standoff from a cliff, wolves at her side. They'll fold. Arrogance hates mirrors. One by one, alien ships powered down. Krell's flagship retreated, its hull scarred by humility. ZYN's transmission crackled. What do you want from us? The elder smiled. Sustain the gardens. Teach your young to nurture, not conquer, and listen when Deathworld speak. Months later, Dr. Vraxis knelt in a Krell greenhouse, the human seed now a towering tree hybridizing alien and earth flora. Ambassador Krell, stripped of rank, handed him a watering can. It's resilient. Like them. Vraxis nodded. They didn't just survive hell. They rebuilt it into a home. Weakened too. In the Galactic Council's new chamber, grown from living wood and quantum steel, Guide addressed 1,000 species. You classified us as horrors. Now you call us saviors. We're neither. We're gardeners. She tossed a wolf's fang onto the podium. Next time you fear a monster, plant this. See what grows. As the galaxy slowly rewielded its barren worlds, the Eclipse's crew scattered. LYR mentoring Thracian farmers, the Veek engineering hybrid shields. Vraxis returned to Earth's valley, where the cyborg human greeted him with a seedling. For your homeworld, water it with courage. The storm still raged. The volcano still growled. But as Vraxis planted the seedling in one sterile soil, he understood Earth's lesson. Life wasn't meant to be caged. It was meant to adapt. Above, the stars twinkled with new gardens, each a testament to humanity's quiet creed, that even the fiercest hells could bloom, if tended with hands unafraid of thorns.